Your past is not set in stone. Actually, your past is something that you can change. Not only that you would change your past, when you change your past, you actually also change your future. Many of us in life are determined by, or I won't say determined, but we determine our life by the way that our past was, okay? Now, each person in life carries his own backpack. In that backpack, there are some things that are more pleasant and some that are less. And because we experienced different types of experiences in the past that were not that pleasurable, I'll say in a more mild way, but some of them were also a disaster. So we determine also our future based on those experiences we had back there in the past. And there is a way to change that. Now, I'm not talking to you that it's only you doing that, it's everyone does that. I also do it in many different fields of life, and when I see that happening, and again, I have a lot more to work on, but when I see that happening, every time I try to break it down, okay, what is that meaning I attached to that experience in the past? And I realize that there is a way to change my past, and not only that there's a way to change it, there's a way to take that experience that actually right now is holding me back, or I'm holding myself back because of that experience, to take that experience and to turn that into a bridge to the next step moving forward. I want to give you an example from my life, and you could take it to each field in your life. Personally, I had a relationship with someone that came into my life later on, and that person was important for me, and I gave a lot to that person. You know, I tried to be there for that person really 24/7. Like, I was really there for them. And I was happy with it. Like, you know, I was really happy, but I was also expecting, and that's a different, different subject. If you're in a relationship, are you just there to give and expect back, or only give and just grow from that and don't expect anything in return? But we'll talk about that a different time. Back to the story. What basically happened was pretty simple. My expectations that in the role that they were having, they should act in a certain way. Through the years, I took it personal because I knew that a person that holds that role in my life should act in a certain way, or at least try to act in a certain way. And it's not only something that I thought I knew, I really saw it in many different relationships. When there's one person that is holding that position, usually they act in a certain way. And the fact that this person didn't act that way, I thought, wait, does he really care about the relationship like he says he does? Maybe he doesn't really care about the relationship. And every time I thought about whether it's about him and the relationship we have, or about someone else that I saw that is holding that same role, the immediate thought that came up to my mind was, okay, this relationship is not the way it's supposed to be. I wouldn't say it held me back, but it for sure brought up feelings in different areas of life that didn't make me feel that good. And there was no reason for that, because all of the story that was building here in my mind was a story that I built. Maybe in their interpretation, they were doing the best in the relationship. So all of the unpleasant feelings back then, I was kind of blaming that person, but I was the only one creating those feelings. I was the one creating those feelings based on the story that I told myself. And what happened with time, I guess maybe three years ago, I decided to change that past and to change the stories that I have regarding that relationship. And I tried to go kind of like dive deep inside in different interactions that I had with that person. And then every time I thought to myself, wait, yeah, you're right now saying that he's not behaving the right way according to what I think he needs to behave. But maybe he's actually behaving the best way he knows to behave in that type of situation. And I saw it time after time, again and again and again and again and again, that every time that I had that feeling that he's not behaving right, it's according to what I think right is. Now, there are things that are kind of set in stone, what's right and what's not, when it comes, let's say, to hurting someone else that you do it intentionally to hurt, that's not right in any way. You can't take it any different way. But what I realized after that, with what that person grew up with, what he knows, he's really doing the best he can. And for him, he thinks that he's really doing the best he can. Now, in my world, I think that's like, if I'm supposed to be in that position in the relationship, I think it's far away than the best I can, really far away, but that's with what I know. And I'm sure that someone else that is more advanced than me in this area would look at the way I'm looking at it and say, what, this is all what you have? You should give much more, or be there much more. And look at me as someone is like, and he would think of me as someone that is not, I'll say, not filling the role in the right way. Again, what I realized was that the huge differences in the past, and the huge difference I could do with that past, is not based on someone else. It's based on myself. It's based on the interpretation I give to that past. So what I decided to do is, again, take those events and give them a different interpretation. And when you do that, well, I'll say when I did that, I thought that's enough. What I realized after, that's only step number one. And that's not even step number one, that's, I'll say, step number two. Step number one is forgiveness, because to really do this in the right way, and I'll explain what you should do, what I think that would really help you, what would help you change that past into something that serves you, is first, before you try giving, different meanings or whatever it is, first you need to forgive. Because in order to do that in introspection into the past, many times when we do that introspection into the past, resentments come up, and we go in there from like a criticism state of mind, like from a judgmental point. When you do this introspection, deep breath, no judgment over here, not towards the other person and not towards you. Okay, this is really crucial. What I did was, when I was doing that introspection in that specific relationship, I was judging the other person when I was doing that introspection. Later on, I understood that, okay, let's do that introspection, let's dive deep into the past, which is great, but with no judgment, not towards them and not towards me. And then I realized that the meaning I gave to that past was what was basically kind of bring those feelings of uncomfortable, or was, I guess, maybe was holding me back in a few areas, and also in the relationship with that person. So I decided to change the meaning that I gave, to change the emotional attachment that I gave to those experiences. Now in your life, you can make it really simple. Really simple means that the steps are simple, then you need to be persistent and actually do them. So think at right now in any events you have in life, or let's just take it to any feelings that you have that are uncomfortable, feelings from the past that cause you discomfort. Okay? I wanted this to be practical. If you want, you could take a pen and paper. If you want, write it down wherever, or in your head. Better you write it down in a certain place. Take a certain event in life that brings to you discomfort because of things that happened in the past. Now think to yourself, okay, number one, when I'm going to think about these events that happened or these interactions, I'm not going to judge, like we said, neither yourself or the other person or the other place, or doesn't matter, no judgment. We're just looking at it as an observer. Okay, now when you look at those situations in the past, try to give them a different meaning, okay? Realize that many of the interpretations that you gave to that situation is based on what you have in your mind. But maybe someone else, if there's someone else in the picture, gave it a total different meaning. And if it's only you in the picture, that's fine. Still, give it a different meaning, okay? Look at the same events. Now you're some time ahead. I don't know how much time, but some time ahead, because we're talking about the past. Try to give a different emotional attachment to that past, to an emotional attachment that serves you. For an example, if let's say you had a certain conflict with one of your parents, or with your partner, or with someone at work, and that discomfort in that interaction, until now, you know, causes you to kind of like hold this anger towards that person. So now look at it in a different way. Try to bring a different attachment. Maybe that interaction, maybe they told me this because they actually do care about me. Or maybe they told me this not because they care about me, but because they were going through something tough in life. And maybe you have no clue about it. But the thing is that they went through something tough. You were the one that right now was in their way. So whatever they told you was because you were the person in their way. And again, maybe they did from a good place. As you can hear that word maybe and maybe again, also whatever you built in your mind, the emotional attachment that you decided is right is also a maybe. You can't guarantee it. So why not bring to it an emotional attachment that actually serves you? Go back to that interaction and give that interaction a different emotional attachment. One that says, okay, maybe they actually wanted to be there for me, but I interpret it in a different way, or they went through something challenging in life and I was just there at that time. There are many different ways to interpret this. Now, I'm sure some of you are telling yourself, well, listen, in my case, I could guarantee you, you know, they just want to hurt me 100%. I know I'm right. They want to hurt me. Okay, I hear that, and I'm sorry if that's the case. I still don't think that you can know that 100%, but if you're really 100%, and you're probably upset in my last sentence because like, no, I'm 100%, this is right, they really want to hurt me, whoever that is, and okay, I'm not going to argue with you on that one. If that's the case, think to yourself, what can you learn from that experience? Because you can't tell me you can't learn, because if you can't learn, there's nothing really to talk about. You can learn from any experience. As my grandmother always says, from some people you learn what to do, and from some people you learn what not to do. So try to think, what can you learn from that experience? And then again, if you can change that emotional attachment, what you do is you think, what can you learn? And then you take that experience and take it from being the devil that is holding you back to being a teacher that is actually helping you to move forward. And in future interactions in life, whether it's with yourself or with other people, you'll know, okay, that was a bad situation, that was a bad event. I learned from it A, B, C. Now I'm going to implement it in future interactions that I have with the world. So that could be a really good teacher. It doesn't mean that event was pleasant and fun. I'm not saying that. Maybe it was terrible. Maybe it was really hard for you, and I'm totally there with you. But the fact is that it happened. It's in the past. Now, if you could change, number one, that emotional attachment to one that serves you. Number two, look for the message in that event, in that story. Look for a message that can serve you, that can help you move forward. And like we said, if you can't change that emotional attachment, it's too hard, you could also go to other people to help you with that. And if you insist not to change it, so at least take the lesson from that, because it happened. Whatever it was. Now it's your job to gather the lessons and learn from them. That way you could grow, make your life better, and the life of the people surrounding you. I hope you enjoyed the video and you got some tools to overcome your challenges and light your path. For us to help other people, please press that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget that the most amazing things in life are the one you take for granted.